Are we live? Okay. This is Mary and Mello with the home. This is Mary and Mello with the Hometown Legends podcast series. And today, our special guest is Mr. Tree Rollins. Tree, we are honored to have you with us today. And thank you for joining us on the Hometown Legend podcast series to speak about your life and your basketball accomplishments.
Okay, thanks for having me.
Of course. We can't hear you.
Okay,
Can't hear
thank you. Can
me?
you hear me now?
Oh my
Okay,
God.
yes, we can. Mr. Rollins, thank you for
Yep.
being here today with us, sir. What was your favorite get
Okay.
up music that got you going for just to break the ice?
Well, repeat that for me, please.
What was your favorite song to listen to, music to listen to, book to read? What was your favorite thing to do prior to a game?
Believe it or not, I get me a Stephen King novel, and that was my favorite road trip novel. Also, it's past the time. Obviously, at the beginning of my career, we didn't have all the nice gadgets that are available today. So most everybody did a lot of reading. So I was a big Stephen King fan.
What was your favorite Stephen
Okay.
King book?
Oh gosh, probably Tommy Knockers. It
Nice.
was it was pretty
Interesting. Okay.
suspenseful book, and
Mhm.
so that was pretty good. I guess my favorite music I would listen to was always jazz, Kenny G and people like that. Didn't really have a particular artist, just jazz. Again, we didn't have the availability of carrying around music. I still remember when cassette tapes first came out, and that was a big deal for us.
For sure.
I understand.
Okay.
Now, in high school, let's just reverse and let's start with you growing up in Florida and moving to Georgia. Okay, you in high school you were originally attending an all-black high school, and it closed down. You had to transition to a predominantly white school, and that's where you gained the nickname Tree. When people first started calling you Tree, how receptive were you to that nickname?
Well, it was a big thing back then. It was pretty tough times. I mean, even though times are pretty tough now as far as coming to race relations, but back there and then it was even worse. So we would always hang out together. The black students always hang together. And at the time, I wouldn't call myself skinny, but I was pretty slim. And of course, I have a big, nice afro. So they had refurbished I guess, the playground yard, and I looked like the tree.
Mhm.
It wasn't
Mhm.
offensive, but as you know, we always joking on each other, and so it stuck with me. So I had the nickname Tree before I started playing basketball.
Okay. Wow.
Interesting.
And then you and then you later acquired the nickname the Intimidator when you started playing basketball. Why
Well,
did you
no,
decide
not
to stick with Tree instead of the Intimidator?
well. The Intimidator, I have no idea where
Okay.
that came from. I do see it bounced around a little
Okay.
bit, but I was never
Mhm.
called the Intimidator. I mean, I intimidated a lot of people as far as basketball, but I never
Right.
had the name. intimidated. You're not the first to bring that up. So I have no idea
Oh, okay.
who put that
Mhm.
out there. But I was always
Where you
went
got
by
that name?
Tree. Uh, I'm
Mhm.
sorry, I have that name now.
You
My
surely
AKA
do.
basketball name. Okay.
For
All
sure.
right.
So with that being said, as you said, you intimidated a lot of people. And just some of your career highlights and awards. You was on the NBA All Defensive Team in 1984, on the All NBA Defensive Team in 1983, and you also led the NBA in blocks
Mhm.
in 1983 as well.
Mhm.
So, I mean, looking at
Mhm.
your career numbers, the name Tree, the Intimidator, everything seems to go hand in hand with what your career stats say as well.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah,
For
God
sure.
working in mysterious ways, baby. Yeah, but it's all fit, especially as an athlete and basketball player, go hand in hand, as you said. But playing basketball for me was just fun. Another one for you that most people don't know. Before I started playing basketball, you ready? I played in a marching band. How about that?
Wow. I was
Yeah.
not expecting to say
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. But again, those times was tough. So
that.
I
Mhm.
tried to do. My mother tried to do anything she could to keep me out of trouble, and so
Right.
she put me in the band. And there you had
Okay.
that 6'9" guy marching down the field playing drums.
That was going to be my next question. What instrument did you play? So you were a drum player.
Yeah, I was a
Mhm.
drummer.
Okay.
I was a drummer.
What experience did you gain from being in a marching band that helped you being a teammate on the basketball court?
Good question. I guess just the socialization of it and getting to travel. I grew up in a small town of Cordell, Georgia, and you didn't get to go out of that county. So just being a member of the high school band, you did get to go to a different city performing in the band. So the
Mhm.
socialization, just getting along with people and learning how to conduct yourself when you're not under your mother's household. And
Right.
I didn't think much of it back then, but as I look back and see where I am now, and now especially once I went to college and the pros, you had to interact with people, and so that
Mhm.
really was my foundation of learning how to get along with even different race, different people, different ages, the whole nine. So it really helped me develop that social skill, if you will.
Right. At 18, you left Georgia and you headed to Clemson to play basketball. Was it ever your dream to play D1 basketball?
I'm sorry, say one more time. I cut off there.
I said at 18, you left Georgia and you headed to Clemson University to play basketball. Was it ever your dream to play D1 basketball?
It was not really my dream.
Okay.
I kind of like landed on my feet playing basketball.
Mhm.
Again, I mean, I can't tell you how hard it was growing up and trying to just stay out of trouble across the board. And, I wasn't
Right.
one of those people, one of those kids who said, God, I want to be an NBA basketball player. That's what I want to be. But it was a way for me, again, to get out of Cordell, Georgia. Believe it or not, my dream was just to get to Atlanta. I end up in Atlanta, but I just wanted to get out of Chris County. And it was
Mhm.
so bad there. It's such hard life. And so I took a liking to basketball. I had a really good college coach in Tate Slot my first 2 years there. And he kind of like took me under his wing and, really taught me how to grow up and how to become a young man. And that was great. But, I saw early, I guess, in my college career that, hey, you can make a living doing this. Even back then, basketball probably was about the, I don't know, fifth popular sports. It wasn't really as popular as now. Matter of fact, my first 2 years in Atlanta, the games was tape delayed. Most people don't remember that, but the game came on after the 11 o'clock news.
Hmm.
Speaking on life on campus at Clemson, and as you mentioned, being in the marching band, prepared you with cultural, different cultures and things like that. What was life like as being a tall African American, 6'9", 7-footer on the campus at Clemson, even though you were somewhat culturally prepared for what you may have faced?
Yeah, I mean, being 7 feet, I tell you, and again, even today, being 7 feet tall and African American, everybody assumes you play basketball.
Hmm.
So, I didn't get treated as a stereotypical African American on campus. I think I got a little bit more respect from the Caucasians because they felt I was a basketball player. And as probably both of you guys know, music and sports, I mean, it's no race. And so it was great. And, again, God blessed me with the height. And, I was able to work on my ability to play. And it's kind of gave me a pass early, gave me a pass. I think if we talk with a lot of guys, African American, that tell you sports kind of gave us a pass. Was
Hmm.
looked upon, a little bit different.
Right. Well, in 4 seasons at Clemson, you averaged 11.9 rebounds, 13.3 points, and you eventually became the first player at the school in any sport to have your number retired. How did that feel?
Oh man, can't describe it. It blew me away. It really did. It blew me away. Uh, Again, another trivial question for you here. During my 4 years at college at Clemson, it was illegal to dunk the ball. Believe that.
Wow.
Believe that. So my plans for that last home game was I'm going to dunk the ball and I'm going to continue to the locker room because I knew I was going to get a technical foul for dunking the ball. So that's what
Hmm.
I did. I
Okay.
dunked the ball, ran on back to the locker room. So I'm sitting back there just taking everything in,
Hmm.
reminiscing on my 4 season there at Clemson. And one of the attendants, the ball attendants came in, said, Tree, you got to come back on the courts. So I'm thinking like, oh my God, what they going to do? Bring me back and throw me out? so so I got caught complete. Yeah, I'm sitting there like why I got to go back out there, right? And
Hmm.
so once I went back out there, the student body was still in the arena. So again, what's going
Hmm.
on? Game's over. And so I went to the bench. I sat there, and Jim Phillips, who was a guy, a media guy, he was standing on at half court, and he asked me to come to half court, and that's how I jumped off. And again, walking to half court, I had no idea what was going on, and
Right.
I can't tell you how awesome that was. I mean, to have your jersey number retired, and on top of that, being the first athlete to have the jersey number retired.
Correct.
Congratulations to you for that, for the hard work that you put in to have your jersey retired at Clemson. And
Mhm.
like you said, you had no idea that that was going to happen.
Man,
For me and my recollection of
man,
jersey retirements, I've never heard of a jersey retirement set up in that manner. So for me, that goes to show how much they really appreciated you for what you did for the university as well.
Hmm.
yeah, right. And on top of that, again, on top of that, Clemson have had some great athletes before me, especially football, track and fields, soccer, you name it. They have had great athletes. And again, to be the first guy, the first athlete to have your number retired, uh, it's just awesome feeling. It was an awesome feeling. You gave me chills just talking about it now.
For sure, most definitely. While at well, getting ready to go to the league, to the NBA, what was like working out? What was that
Mhm.
experience like preparing? The draft was obviously and everything was different how it was held then compared to what it is now. How was preparing for the
Oh yeah.
draft? What was that experience like?
I'm laughing because I already know the answers to your question, but I'm laughing as I'm thinking about it compared to what goes on today, what was going
Mhm.
on back in 70, what's that, 77? And here you go. I went back, I was in summer school doing draft day. It wasn't a draft week. I hadn't completed all my hours. I took a semester off to play in the Pan American Games in Mexico City, where we won the gold medals down there. So I took that whole semester off. So I was behind in credits. So what happened again? Technology. I was in the athletic dorm where you just had the phone at the front door. That was the only telephone available. You didn't have cell phones and all that good stuff. And you definitely didn't have phones in your dorm room. So I got a call. Somebody knocked on my door. Tree, hey, you got a call, man. I said, okay. So I went down to the phone and standing there, and somebody said they was with the Atlanta Hawks and we want to draft you. I'm like, okay, what do we do now?
Mhm.
So they say, well, you need to drive down this coming Saturday. We're gonna sign you on Saturday. I said, but the draft is on Sunday. So I didn't have an agent. So now I got, just that remainder of the week to find an agent. So again, I
Mhm.
connect with my college coach. We found a lawyer there in Clemson to look over and give me an idea about contracts and all this and that. So long story
Mhm.
short, I drove down to Atlanta from Clemson, which is about maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours back then. Signed a contract, drove back to Clemson from Atlanta, and Monday morning I was in school. They called me that week and said training camp gonna be blah blah blah. Be there. That was it. I showed up for training camp and we started working, and the career began. Imagine that when you think about what goes on now.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
Times have definitely changed.
I mean, it's a big change, man. Big change.
Mhm.
But
Now when you
working out, we had. I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. But working out, training camp was 2 days at 2 hours per session. Had Hubie Brown, who was a no nonsense coach. He did it his way and his way only, and he did not believe in giving you the ball, playing games, or doing game work. As far as game work, you did skill work for the first week of practice. You
Mhm.
rarely touched the basketball. You did all skill
Mhm.
work, and again, that way of doing it really helped me. It got me acclimated to just the game itself and getting to know the veterans and staying away from
Mhm.
them because they always are playing tricks on you, or telling the rook to go get that, rook you go get that. And I
Mhm.
never forget, Buffalo, New York had a team at the time. So when we went to Buffalo, that was Buffalo Wings. You got 2, 3 feet of snow. They send the rookies out to get chicken wings. So
Oh.
it was a lot of stuff going on, but all that was done. It really brought you closer together to your teammates. And
Right.
just sitting around in the airport. Now everybody got private planes and just walk in and the flight attendant already know what you want, blah, blah, blah. But just sitting around the airport, because as you're flying, my seatmate was Mike Glenn, and so you got to know Mike Glenn. Mike Glenn got to know me, and again, just sitting around the airport, if I gotta go to the restroom and say, "Yo, wash my bag till I come back." So you had to talk with your teammates some kind of way, and
Mm-hmm.
I know just working with the NBA as a coach and a player, and once technology came about, I really noticed that guys started separating from their teammates. They get on the plane, they put the headsets on, and they don't talk to you till they get off the plane. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I really wish the guys of today, the current guys, can experience that because it's just something unbelievable to experience that.
Right. Was there a teammate that took you under their wing whenever you first got drafted and that basically guided you throughout your basketball career?
Well, yeah, I had a guy by the name of Ollie Johnson. Ollie was about 6'7" from Philadelphia. He
Okay.
probably was about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years older than me. And my
Mm-hmm.
rookie season, he told me, "You sit by me. I'm gonna teach you how to play pro ball."
Mm.
And he taught me about the lines on the court that most people probably don't even understand why those lines are there. And if you
Mm-hmm.
watch a guy like LeBron, Kobe, Michael, they get to that first marker above the box, and they got their moves what they're gonna do for that marker. And what Ali taught me is that don't let them get to that first marker above the box. Now you got them covered. Not not that I was playing against Michael and Kobe at the time, but he taught me how to position, how to anticipate, how to be 3, 4 plays ahead of the play. So you should know what's going to happen by learning the lines, or you can only do certain things from each line. So he really schooled me on how to play basketball and how to play as a big man. Once Willis Reed became our assistant coach, first practice in training camp, Mike Fratello was the head coach. He told Mike, "I'm gonna take the big guys down on the other end and teach them how to play big." And
Mm-hmm.
I never thought of that because all the other coaches had everybody together, big and little, and everybody was doing the same thing. You got a 7 foot guy duck walking and running, zigzags and all this and that, which you never do in the game as a big guy. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, getting to being, I was blessed to be around great coaches, great teammates, and that would enable me to continue to improve in my game.
Right.
Speaking on the coaches and the teammates that you alluded to, how much did that help with your transition into the NBA, knowing that the NBA game is different from the college game?
Well, again, just relying on them to show me and tell me what I need to do. Just simple thing. Getting through the airport. You don't think about it, but especially living in Atlanta, a major airport like that, just getting to the next gate. And Atlanta was notorious for fog. We always got fog in or fogged out. And so just a little simple stuff that most people don't even think about, especially in that because everything is pretty much done for the guys. They're not. I'm not going to call them pampered. They deserve everything they get, but everything is
Mm-hmm.
taken care of. Uh, just golly. Okay, Atlanta had a hockey team, the Atlanta Flames, and they put the basketball court on top of the ice. So you're sitting there during the game, freezing your butt off,
What in the
but you
world?
got to go in the game and play. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Here's another one tidbit for you. How about smoking was allowed in the arenas when I started?
What?
Imagine that smoking.
Oh, yeah,
So what?
times have definitely changed since then.
Times have changed.
Yep,
Mm.
yep.
So fans could
But
smoke in the arena at
but
the time.
oh yes, fans smoking in the venue. Guarantee you, they were smoking on the bench. What's the guy named? The head coach from Boston. He would smoke
Bob
cigars on
Cousy.
the bench during the game.
I mean, not Bob Cousy, but Red Auerbach.
Red, yeah, red, yeah. He'd have a cigar during the game, and you knew certain
Okay.
arenas. Say it.
No, go ahead.
No, I about to say certain arenas didn't hold the smoke well. Which one was the worst? I guess Milwaukee, the old arena, I think it was called the Mecca, and they had the lights on the side. The lighting was bad. It was dark. I mean, when I go to the arena now, I was just at one on the Magic game last week, and I sat there and I looked at it. I said, "My God, man, how far we have come." but but the Mecca man was notorious. You knew that you couldn't turn. Let me see. You couldn't turn to the outside for a shot because your eyes would just hit the lights and blind you for a second.
Whew.
So, the guys use that to their advantage.
Mhm. Now
But
you
all in
finished
all, though, it was, say
you
again?
said all in all it was what?
I'm about to say, all in
What were
all,
you
though, it was fine. It was fun. It was special. It was unbelievable. And, I enjoyed every second of it.
good. Well, you finished your career with 2,542 blocks, and so you definitely understood your position on the court. Aside from blocking shots, though, what was, I guess, your specialty aside from blocking?
hmm Uh, really, another thing I had to accept, learn. Here, here's a funny story for you. Uh, I wanted to get more touches, I mean, more shots. And so I was young, feeling myself, so to speak, because at Clemson, I still also was a scorer. I was,
Okay.
depending upon the score. So I got to Atlanta. Hubert set me down. He said, "You rebound and you block shots." Okay. So one day I was feeling myself, and I said, I'm gonna tell this guy, I want the ball. I want to touch the ball." And so I was sitting there, and I went to his office, and his assistant, his secretary, let me in his office. So I was sitting there at the desk, and behind his back, he had a listing of all the players who was somewhat out of the league, and pretty they're good enough to be in the league. He had the ones, the twos, the threes, the fours, and the five. So I'm sitting there waiting on him to come back to his office. I'm looking at that board behind him. I look down, I look back up, I look down, I look back up. I start counting how many fives that are on that board, right? I mean, the centers. I look back down and I look back up. And something just told me, it's probably a good time for you to leave now because you're not that special. Because all these guys on this board is waiting for you to make a mistake.
Mhm.
And, that was a lesson in itself. And so I accepted my role to be a shot blocker and be a rebounder. I mean, everybody
Mhm.
could score. Everybody could
Right.
score. Early in my career, we had a guy by the name of John Drew, called him Deuces. Deuces could score. Then we got Dominique Wilkins. Dominique could score, but
Mhm.
they couldn't block shots and they couldn't rebound that well.
Right.
So, again, I was proud to be able to do what the team needed. And, I ended up playing 18 seasons. So, I was doing something right.
Mhm.
So, of
Definitely was
course,
doing something right.
yeah.
He was
But,
definitely doing something right.
yeah, I'm sure you guys business too. All your friends telling you what you should do it and how you should do it. So,
Mhm.
I had those same friends, man. Tree, man, you should be scoring, man. Don't be letting Nick shoot all the shots, but I had to put up with that. But I was, smart enough to know not to listen to my friends at that time.
Hmm.
You was definitely a
Any.
pros pro. You knew the assignment. You knew what to do, what it took to remain in the league for 18 years, like you said. You was
Mhm.
definitely a
Yeah, there you
special
go.
shot blocker. You blocked 12. You had 12 blocks in
Yeah.
1979 against the Portland Trail Blazers.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Y'all won 106-83, and largely due to your defense. Did you
Right.
know how many blocks you had when you was rolling, or were you just actively just playing and found out that you had a total of 12?
I was just playing, and as a shot blocker, probably as a scorer too. I'm sure you talk with any great scorer, or great rebounder like Dennis Rodman. They'll tell you you don't know you're doing it when you're doing it. And like
Mhm.
blocking shots, when I go back and watch the game, watch the tape, I can't tell you how I got there. How did you get there to get there? How did you know that was going to happen that split second to get there? But it's just repetition, repetition, repetition. And again, using the lines on the court, I knew I could get at a certain spot by the lines on the court. Sometimes I didn't get there. As they say, sometimes I got there just in time to get dunked on. But I never stopped trying to block the shot because all great shot blockers you've been dunked on a few different times. But
Mhm.
it's just something you just kept working at, just like a great shooter. They keep practice, practice, practice. But to go along with that, I don't know too many coaches that work on guys who are great shot blockers. I mean, I had Willis Reed, so I mean, he spent the time after practice to teach me certain tricks of the trade, how to block shots without getting fouled. Use your outside hand instead of your inside hand. I mean, there's certain skills that you have to have on everything that is done in any job that you're doing. And even though those skills don't seem important, but they get you through.
What was, I guess, maybe your most remarkable memory playing 18 seasons?
Oh my goodness. I'm thinking, oh, okay. Okay, yeah, I enjoy that one. Um, I got a three. We called it three the hard way.
Okay.
You guys know it as a triple double. Okay, but for shot blockers, we call it three the hard way to get double digit blocks, double digit points, and double digit rebounds. At
Mhm.
Chicago, I think it was on a Christmas game, and I had a triple double, three the hard way. I would never forget that game. I didn't know how I got it, but I got it.
What was that moment like during that game? Like you said, you felt that. Was it a
Yeah.
certain moment in that game before the game? Can you speak on that moment?
On that moment before the game, it was a holiday game, so those games are special. And here's another one for you. Pull one out of the bag for you here. Games now about on about every night, right? Just
Mhm.
about something about NBA ball every night. Back then, you saw NBA basketball 1 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, called the Game of the Week. That was it. One
Okay.
NBA game a week. But then, being in Atlanta, Ted Turner Superstation, he starts showing us all the time. And that's one of the reasons I also, to go along with my basketball talent, that most people know of me or know me because the game was always on. The
Mhm.
Superstation always was showing the Atlanta Hawks, Atlanta Braves all the time. and wrestling. We not forget that. But that game, triple double, three the hard way, I only accomplished that twice in my basketball career. Got close a few times, but only got it done twice.
Okay. Well, I want to kind of shift the subject a little bit to more so marketing and NIL deals because I know that these players are now able to get endorsements and get paid
Hmm.
playing in college. And in 1975, Converse was the sponsor of the US basketball, and you were actually the last NBA player to wear Converse sneakers. And you actually acquired a deal with Converse for $5,000. And you had
Hmm.
previously made a comment that it was, I guess, sort of ignorant for you to take this deal. Why do you think that it was ignorant? And
Yes, that's another thing you didn't know coming in, man. I was hyped. They told me they give me as many sneaks as I wanted. They give a few for my family, and they're gonna give me 5 grand too. Come on, man. You gotta
right.
you gotta take that. Little did I know. I got this training camp and I'm boasting, yeah, I got my 5 grand from Converse, man. They're gonna send me shoes. You dumb rookie. They got all over me, man. I didn't know anything about endorsement. Nobody gave me
Mhm.
the heads up on that. And
Right.
so, but trust and believe. Every other rookie that came in, that's the first thing I told them. How you doing? I'm Tree Rollins, and don't sign no sneak deal until you talk to your agent or somebody.
Okay.
But yeah, I thought I was rolling. I thought I was rolling.
hmm And is that something that you would share now with the current players, just basically to speak with their agents and not immediately sign anything?
Oh yeah, I mean, the agent should be. I mean, the agent of today is, she's. I mean, they're professional agent. I mean, we had
hmm
guy who said, "Yeah, I'll look over for you," or I don't know, a divorce attorney looking over athletic contract, which makes no sense. You would say, but you just wanted somebody to look it over. But now agents professional today. Also, the NBA have in place also where they have doing pre-draft camp in Chicago. I mean, they go over all the stuff, not everything, but they go over a lot of the important stuff that the guys need to know about coming in. They do skits. They do one funny skit, which they stopped doing it now. Everybody talks about it, so they don't do it anymore. They did one skit where they have a dinner, say on a Friday night. The guys at the pre-grad camp, everybody go out to eat, blah blah blah, and of course you have some nice
hmm
looking ladies there, right? Got to do that, right? And
Yeah.
they don't know
hmm
that these ladies are working undercover. And so the next day,
mm
they have another get together and they start talking about, everything from diseases on up, scams, setups, a whole nine that could
hmm
possibly happen to you out there in them streets.
Right.
And as that going on, they paraded these undercover ladies across the stage and they asked the ladies, how many of these guys tried to get your phone number? And it was one of the most funnest things you want to see, man. You see these guys falling off their chairs, laughing like, "Dang, they got me! They got me!" But they, just trying to make the guys aware. You got to take care of yourself out there. Number one, and
hmm
I can only imagine these guys. Down, you a target. I mean, I was watching
Right.
something on TV the other day where they have these ladies. They intentionally go out, do the background on these guys, and they're targets. And sadly, but that's part of the business, so to speak. But yeah, I share. We also have chapters. We have 13 chapters, 12 chapters, retired players association chapters, and so we try to reach out to the current guys and try
Mhm.
to make sure they have everything they need. I mean, simple thing. Even the retired guys, a lot of the retired guys don't know about, you know, they get, they get insurance. You play 3 years in the league, you get, medical, dental, vision. You get that. You and your family. A lot of guys don't know about that.
Hmm.
And you play 10 years is no copay, like me. I go to the doctor a lot more, but I'm saying, but all of that hard work that you put in, there still are some benefits that's still out here for you. But if
Mhm.
you have nobody who's telling you about it, I mean, you don't know about it. I mean, the other thing, you have guys who would do money from the license agreements, and they don't know about the license agreement. So what we do with the Retired Players Association chapter is try to locate these guys in my area of Miami, from Miami up to Jacksonville, and just reach out to them and say, "Yo, do you know about this? Here's a phone number you need to call about this." And still
Mhm.
trying to help each other out, still trying to be, quote unquote, a teammate.
Right.
With NIL, I mean, I'm going to put all this into one, right? So just please be patient with me. If I'm not
Okay.
mistaken, you are in the short list of player coaches with Bill Russell, Lenny Wilkins, Al Addles, and I believe yourself, and maybe one other player. I'm not sure.
Mhm.
Okay.
Your last couple years with Orlando Magic, you was an assistant coach with the Orlando Magic. Shaquille O'Neal, Penny Hardaway, those guys were on the team. Dennis Scott, up and coming players. You spoke about NIL marketing. At that time, Shaquille O'Neal was hot. Penny Hardaway was one of the first athletes to have the penny dial.
Mhm.
You were taught by a pro. You had Willis Reed, like you said, to teach you how to be a big man, block shots. Mike Fratello, uh, Hubie Brown. As the player coach, what lessons and guidance did you give your younger players along when you became a coach as well with the Washington Mystics and then your pro career, coaching career as well?
Well, I think the knowledge of the game, and quickly, when I was approached to be an assistant coach by Brian Hill, I was just finished up with the Houston Rockets, 16 years. And the way he sold it to me was that we got this little young kid over here by the name of Shaquille O'Neal, who's green as green, and you can be an influence on his development. I thought about it,
Mm.
mulled it over, talked to my family about it. I thought I could squeeze another couple of years out. Athletes always think they got 2 more years in them, you know.
Mhm.
But so it was a great plan. It sounded good. Not like I was going to be working with a god. I was going to be working with a big guy, as Willis worked with me, Willis Reed. And so he sold me on it, and I came to Orlando and started mentoring and working with Shaquille. And I was just as big as Shaquille, not as heavy, but just as big. But the skills gave me an added advantage. And and Shaquille and I we talked a lot, and because a big guy know a big guy, we talked about all the funny things being big, all the cruel things that you go through being big. We dubbed it growing up big. And from everybody expect Shaquille. One thing Shaquille hated was he would get beat up on, get beat up on, get beat up on. We said, Mr. Fisher, he's getting fouled. And one of the officials told me, "Well, Tree, he didn't move. Okay, he's not going to move, but he's still getting fouled. Called a foul.
Mhm.
But stuff like that, and again, being able to be on the court, the practice court with Shaquille and helping him learn using the lines again. And I was still, in shape enough to move him a little bit. And so he had something real physical, somebody who was skilled to go against. And not that I'm taking credit for his development, he's gonna be good no matter what. but I take a feather in my hat that I really helped him a little bit on the mental game of growing up and getting a little bit faster understanding of how to play the professional game. 'Cause I think you said earlier, it's a different game. High school is different from college. College is different from pros, but it's a
Mhm.
different game. So I think I kind of speeded up his progress. And of course, when he went down with a sprained ankle,
Mhm.
as coaches, we said we had Jeff Turner, Greg Kite, Larry Kostoviak, and Keith Towers, all backup centers, power forwards. So every day I would practice. I was still feeling good. I was practicing. So I was at home again. Got a call from Brian Hill say you're dressing out tonight. We always play jokes on each other. Shaquille was the biggest practical joker you ever want to meet. But so I got to the arena, went to my locker. There's uniform there, number 30, Orlando Magic. Okay, Shaquille. Okay, what are you doing now? And he told me he was playing. I said, I'm playing? Yeah. Shaquille can't go. So I had about an hour to find an agent. Coach's agent can't represent players. So I got to call my old player agent to look over a contract again, the old contract again. And that's how I became a player coach. Player coach. I think the next year we went on strike, right? It was a strike in the NBA. And the joke was, well, I can't talk to myself because when doing strike, coaches can't talk to players. So I couldn't talk to myself. It
Mhm.
was a big joke. But, it was a big joke. But it was a great experience doing that. But one thing I did do, and Brian Hill, just a quick thing on Brian Hill. Brian Hill was a scout for the Atlanta Hawks when I played with the Hawks. That's where our roots come from. And he was telling me, don't worry about the coach's part. Don't worry about the coach's part. Don't worry about the coach's part. Just worry about, keep yourself, in shape enough, number one, and worry about playing. But I felt that I didn't want to come across as I want to be a player now, because
Mhm.
my main thing was being an assistant coach. So that was a tough
Okay.
part. It was a lot of hours on and off the court, literally. So that was kind of
Mhm.
tough. Wouldn't want to do that again, trust me. And, you had to be kind of things were coming up on players that you knew was about to happen. And you sit there at dinner with this player and you know he's not going to be here tomorrow. It's not like I know you're about to die, but I know you're not about to be at Orlando Magic tomorrow. And that
Mhm.
mentally, that would mess with me sometimes. That would
Mhm.
mess with me.
Real
Well, you
quick,
were
no, go ahead.
go ahead. Go
No, I was
ahead.
going to reset real quick, just real quick. This is the Hometown Legends Series podcast, along with Miss Mary and myself, Mello. And today's special guest is former NBA player Tree Rollins.
Now, I wanted to touch basis on you transitioning from being a player coach to now being an assistant coach. And in 2006, you worked with the Washington Mystics. Did you have to alter your way of coaching when it came to dealing with the WNBA players?
Yeah, most definitely. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
well, I was sitting at home and Richie Alabata. I mean, this network goes forever. I call it the Hubie Brown tree. I mean, the coaches that he brought into the league, kind of like my man at San Antonio. He just got so many guys that he have brought in the league. Okay, so Richie Alabado, who also was an assistant with the Magic, if you when you look back on it, he called me and he said, "Yo, Tree," he's calling him, "Yo, Tree. Hey, I need some help." I said, "What do you need?" He lives in Orlando also. I said, "What do you need?" He said, "I need a coach." I said, "Well, I don't know nobody that coach women." He said, "No, I need you."
Mm.
And I had never basketball camp, high school, grade school, YMCA, you name it. I have never tried to coach females. So I had no clue. what was going to be going on. So he quickly told me, no, it's the same thing. Same thing. They want to
Mhm.
play like the guys anyway. And I'm still back on my high school days where the women didn't cross half court. Imagine that. Jeez, I'm
Mm.
old. but so I accepted it. I went up, and I was trying to be gentle, respectful, trying to be working with the ladies, right?
Right.
And finally, one day, a player by the name of Elena Bill, she was pretty good, Duke University. She said, Coach
Mhm.
Tree, you're being too soft with us. I said, oh, okay. Okay. So she kind of like told me, I got to be tough with the ladies. Say, look, don't treat us
Mhm.
like women, treat us like basketball players. And she was just exactly right. So once I started doing that, everything rolled good. And other plus I brought to the table was the females. They always want to know about the NBA players, not personal
Mhm.
stuff, but just about the game itself. And
Right.
so they all, especially when I was with Chicago, and one of the players, can't call her name right now, she would always catch me after practice and want to talk about basketball, talk about NBA basketball. And so,
Mhm.
I carry a whole library of knowledge, and so I figured they can get it out of me.
Mhm. Well, you ended with coaching the Chicago Sky in 2015. Are you still involved with the NBA in any type of capacity or WNBA?
Well, just with the NBA on the retired players side of it, not as far as active coaching or scouting or mentoring or anything like that. Just the
Mhm.
retired side of it, the Side Players Association. I am the president of the chapter here in Orlando.
Okay.
Real quick, Mr. Rollins, again, we appreciate you taking time out of your day to come here and join us on the Hometown Legends Series podcast. We have about 10 minutes left. Currently in the NBA right now, LeBron James is 36 points away from breaking the all-time scoring record held by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You had a chance to play against Kareem
Hmm.
Abdul-Jabbar for a number of years in the NBA. How do you feel
Right.
about LeBron James breaking that record and the state of the NBA going forward?
Well, the record itself, records are made to be broken. That's have always been my take on records. And when I go to the barber shop, that's where I get my best counseling. You know, we always talking about who's the GOAT, who's the best this, who's the best that in basketball. And I heard Michael say the other day, Michael Jordan says, it's all depending on the generation. I mean, when you take day one that the NBA came the way it is now, I think that was 1970. Jesus, was it 77 or 76 when ABA NBA merged? If you take that,
77, I believe.
if you take that date, it's tough to say who was the best and who was the GOAT. It's all dependent on the generation because so many things happened. The lines moved out, the lines moved in. You got one official, you got two official, you got three official, you got replay now. It's so much stuff that goes in now until it's tough. So I would say this generation with LeBron, he will break the scoring record, but you got to give Kareem, still got to give Kareem his and whoever else
Mhm.
the top 10 because it was different ways of scoring. If they would have had the same ability to shoot threes, not Kareem would be shooting threes. Well, I take that back. All the big guys shooting threes now. but he would have had the ability to score more points on one shot. So with LeBron doing what he's doing, I mean, LeBron's a super great player. He's great ambassador for the league, and the next generation after him gonna be even better. And so I don't know how long his record would stand, scoring record, but it's just a great record to have. I mean, it's great for the league. And it's given when the NBA started changing the rules, saying that the fans want to see more scoring, and so now that's what they're doing. They're scoring. It's tough sometimes to watch an NBA game because the five position is being like kind of like X out now. You don't see guys back to the basket much.
Mhm.
And being a big guy myself, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed watching it and enjoyed playing against it. But I don't really like to see 7-footers shooting threes. Like, come on, man, get the butt back in the paint.
Most definitely, for sure. Um, what last closing words do you have for future athletes, not just basketball players? And with
Mm.
that being said, I want to speak about real quick HBCU basketball, college basketball in general, and players going forward. Like Miss Mary brought up the NIL. You had your experience with Converse. Um, the ABA, the NBA merger happened right when you came into the league. So you've been able to see basketball from a different lens, from so many different generations, and the change of it
Right.
all, from tech delays to we seeing games live now. What advice do you give to just the basketball culture, future basketball players, and just the world in general about a athlete and just expectations from athletes and just, realizing you guys have voices. You guys are athletes, it's a job and things of that nature.
Well, I would say, as I say to any athlete, whether I'm at camp or what have you, or just at the barber shop. I mean, I always say keep your nose clean, be respectful, be thankful of the game. Even now, some of my
Mhm.
former mates as in basketball, some of them are still would say words like, "Well, the NBA never done anything for me." Okay, again, during your generation, the salary that you was getting was a great, 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 great salary. So don't try to compare, your salary of
Mhm.
your generation to what the guys are getting now. There's so many different streams of income that's come in now so they can pay the players more. And I jokingly say, keep it going because I still got retirement money coming. So keep it going and
Yeah.
keep it going. And, this is a great business. They have done a lot for a lot of people, on top of providing entertainment. And it has really helped to take care of a lot of families. And that's the main
Mhm.
thing. So the other thing I tell guys, just don't make sure you try to take care of your money the best you can. Yeah, we're gonna have problems sometimes, but try to
Right.
take care of your money because this is a great job. It's not necessarily an easy job, but it's a great job. But it's a short life. I mean, the average life expectancy of an NBA player now is about what, 4, maybe 5 years. That's no time. So you can be in it, you can be out of it. I was 18 years, so that's one spot you didn't get for 18 years. LeBron is how many
Yeah.
years now? About the same. So that's another spot
Mhm.
you didn't get. And there's only about what 300 and maybe 50 jobs available. So once you get
Right.
in it, keep your nose clean. Do the right thing, work hard, work on your skills.
That's some great advice. And again, we are honored to have you here on the Hometown Legend Series podcast, Mr. Tree.
All righty. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Okay, man. Y'all take
Well,
care.
you as well. Thank you,
Thanks.
sir.
All righty. Bye bye.
And to everyone out there, we hope you enjoy our conversation with 18-year NBA vet, Mr. Tree Rollins. Continue being the difference that you want to see in the world. We will see you next week.